some better information, I always call his cell. And so that working relationship really is important. And it's, to be honest, it's unique across these 29 counties that I represent. So, so thank you for your leadership in the community. And to y'all, thanks for being here. For those that don't know, I'm Will Hurd. I'm your congressman. We have a bigger group here than the first time I came through Eagle Pass many years ago. I think it was just Hector Serna that was there. He and I were having breakfast at the burger joint. I'm drawing a blank. And yeah, exactly. And so it's great having folks like Hector who, again, servicing y'all's communities, helping to give us perspective on how we can help. Because here's the reality. Y'all know my background. I'll get into it real quick. I was born and raised in San Antonio, a little town called Leon Valley. Went to Texas A&M University. I got a degree in computer science. We got a few Longhorns here. I had the awesome honor of serving as student body president at Texas A&M the year of the bonfire collapse. And when that happened, I'm actually one of the few Aggies that doesn't refer to University of Texas as TU. And part of that is what the University of Texas did in response was amazing. And now I represent UTSA, and a lot of their resources they have throughout the district. So it's two great universities. When I graduated at 22, I went straight into the CIA. I was the guy in the back alleys at 4 o'clock in the morning collecting intelligence on threats to the homeland. Fantastic job. Did 2 years in DC in training, 2 years in India, 2 years in Pakistan, 2 years in New York City doing interagency work, and then a year and a half in Afghanistan where I managed all of our undercover operations. And in addition to collecting intelligence, I had a brief member of Congress. And I was pretty shocked by the caliber of our elected officials. And my mama said, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. So I moved from Kabul, Afghanistan to Helotes, Texas, and ran for Congress. I lost. Now, at the time, I was not thankful for the loss. But now, over time, I am, because it gave me an opportunity to be a partner in a consulting firm. It gave me an opportunity to start a cybersecurity company from scratch. And so I saw what it's like to start a business from a complete standstill. I know what it's like for the proverbial 2 guys or 2 gals in the garage to start a company. And the first thing they shouldn't have to worry about is a complicated tax code. They should be worrying about, how do I build the best widget? How do I have the best service? How do I hire the best people? And not dealing with all these Byzantine tax codes, right? Small businesses are the lifeblood of our state, of our economy, right? We got to stop having all these burdensome regulatory environments that are preventing folks like IBC Bank from extending credit, right, to the things that they want to do, but the federal handcuffs that they're on. This is how we're going to make sure that everybody's getting a good paying job, moving up the economic ladder, right? And so that experience has been tremendous in helping me do my job in Congress. 2014 happened, I ran again, I won, and I've been in office for 19 months now. I'm on the Homeland Security Committee, and I serve as the chairman of an IT subcommittee where we deal with cybersecurity, privacy, all these kinds of things. The district is huge. San Antonio to El Paso, and down to Eagle Pass. 29 counties, 2 time zones, 820 miles of the border. It takes 10.5 hours to drive from one corner to the other at 80 miles an hour. Right? 80 is the speed limit in about 75% of the district. But I've learned recently that there's not the speed limit in all of Texas. And exactly, it did. And the reason I ran for Congress was for 2 reasons: be a leader on national security and the gold standard when it comes to constituent relations. When it comes to national security, that means border security. And when you talk about border security, we got to talk about international commerce. Right? Mexico is our #1 trading partner in Texas. That's a big deal. We need to continue that. These aren't 2 communities. These are 1 community that is separated by an international boundary. We need to think of it that way, right? And so everything we do, trade is important. One of the ways to increase our economy is to increase trade. There's no better place to do that than with Mexico. There's no better place to facilitate international commerce than right here. And it's been great working with Senator Corner on a number of projects. One thing called CBI. So I've gotten 4 bills signed into law. And I've gotten 5 other bills that have passed the House that are in the Senate. And a few of those are probably going to get approved and get to the president's desk. One of those bills was called the Coordinated Border Initiative. This allowed communities, like y'all's community, to invest some of your highway dollars, highway trust fund dollars, into the border in order to facilitate goods and services back and forth. The other thing I learned real quick in the government, it's really hard for the government to take something free. I wish that was a joke, right? But it's called a public-private partnership. And so if a community like Eagle Pass wanted to donate a building to help customs, have people doing things late at night so you don't have a long line of cars that are preventing kids from going to school, government wasn't able to take that free building. There was a pilot project, and we're trying to make it permanent, and we're going to be successful on that. Huge opportunity to improve the infrastructure that's going to facilitate commerce, which is so important not only to our community, but our state. And when it comes to constituent relations, look, I have the benefit of having my face on the sign and my name on the door, but there's a huge group of people that help us, right? Our latest addition is Francisco. Y'all, hopefully a lot of y'all know him. If you don't, you should. He's running our office here in Eagle Pass. Many of y'all know Carmen from Del Rio, who was splitting time back and forth. She's going to still be supporting Francisco, but Francisco is here in our office, down the street. Stony Burke, where's Stony? Stony Burke over there. Stony Burke is an Aggie from West Texas. I've known him since he's 14 years old. He ruined my life by suggesting I run for Congress, and I ruined his life by making him my chief of staff. Stoney has spent most of his time up in Washington, D.C., but he's going to be crisscrossing the district, and you'll probably be seeing him a lot more. Daniel Meza. Where's Danny Meza? Daniel Meza is in the back. Another Aggie from Heavenville. Well, no, we let a few Longhorns slip in. We'll get to them in a second. From Heavenville, he spent 12 years with Senator Cornyn. That experience has been so invaluable to us. It's been, starting an office at zero with no employees is not an easy task. But it's been great having Daniel's experience, his leadership, and he runs all of our operations in Texas. And he spends a lot of time in Eagle Pass. I'm on the other end of the city. And so y'all can probably see him there. Tyler Lowe. Tyler Lowe's our newest addition. He's Daniel's deputy. He's another Aggie. He spent a year and a half as the counsel for the Homeland Security Committee. Why is that important? Customs, border, trade, all are issues that we do on Homeland Security where I sit, and having the lawyer for the committee is a big deal. So he can help with the nuance, and he's going to be a great resource. He sits in San Antonio, but this is his first time? Yep. First time to Eagle Pass. So you're going to see him some more. Jenny Tavares. She is our resident art expert from Fort Stockton, went to Saul Ross, graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, and she's one of our field reps, and she crisscrosses the district often. Henry Rivera. Where's Henry? Probably in the back of the room somewhere. Henry's outside. Henry is one of our field reps, caseworkers. When there's Social Security issues, when there are Medicare issues, Henry is the guy that's fighting the bureaucracy on your behalf. He's a great part of the team. And last but not least, John Honor. Obviously, not a Longhorn, whatever that is. John is a 9.5-year veteran of the Army. Has a huge, extensive experience with the VA. He is the guy that's helping us with our VA cases in the relationship with the military. I'm proud to say in 2015, we closed out 242 cases with the VA. These are people that are having problems with their benefits, weren't getting the support that they needed. A lot of that is because of the work that John is doing. That's just in 2015. And those are just veteran cases. We're on track to do that same number now. The reality is this. Congress has given the VA the most money the VA has ever gotten in history. But we still have problems with the VA. Right? There's a thing called the choice card. If you're a veteran, don't know about the choice card, you need to know about the choice card. If you know a veteran, or there's a veteran in your family, you have to educate them on the choice card. I hope they don't think it's a long line to get blizzards. And before we go to the choice card, can y'all help me in thanking Dairy Queen for letting me speak here? This is stop 12, 11, stop 11. It's a whole lot of blizzards. I'm glad y'all have the Blizzard Mini. I went to get my pants. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will. So when it comes to the choice card, if you're a veteran and your appointment is more than 30 days, you can go on the local economy and work with a local healthcare provider. If you're more than 40 miles away from a facility, you can go on the local to do. Now, this program has been in existence for about a year and a half. There's been a lot of problems, but we're trying to get more providers to participate because early on, the providers weren't getting paid, so people did not want to participate. But we're working, Tri-West is a company that administers this. They're working with local providers to increase those. They went from 240 people to about 3,000 people in order to handle these requests. We got a long way to go to get to where it's perfect, but we're moving in the right direction. If we can be helpful, let us know. Little things, our veterans were having to drive 3 miles one direction, 3 hours, in one direction to get their blood drawn. We're working on a program in Del Rio to allow that to happen locally. Those basic, tests, get those done locally, send that to the VA so our veterans don't have to drive long distances, sit and wait in an office all day, and then do a long drive back. These are some of the things that we're trying to do. And also, if there's any veterans here that y'all have a problem, let us know. Let John know. We need you to fill out some forms so that we can deal with the individual problems. And your veteran service officer, if y'all don't know him, he's great, awesome to work with. You have some really amazing resources here for veterans. Now, I'm going to end with this before we take some questions. DC is indeed a circus, but you can't believe everything you read in the newspaper or see on television. Some things are actually getting done. The SGR bill. Y'all probably never heard of this. We're pretty bad at naming stuff. We should have named this Increasing Access for Seniors to Good Doctors while shaving $5 trillion off the national debt over 15 years. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but that's actually what it did. We made sure our seniors that are on Medicare are able to continue to have access to good doctors. It's a big deal. It also made sure we funded community health clinics. Community health clinics, we're going to take a 75% cut in their operation. Only Washington, D.C. thinks that's normal, right? We fixed that problem. Nobody's talking about that, but it was a big deal. Lifting the ban on exporting crude, another big deal for South and West Texas. Not only are we going to make sure we keep our folks employed, but this is a tool of foreign policy. You want to put Vladimir Putin in a box? Send energy to Eastern Europe. The other thing, if you have kids, grandkids, or great-grandkids, you should know about the ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act. This was Republicans and Democrats coming together saying, hey, No Child Left Behind has some problems, and we need to fix it. And we did. It got signed into law. There's no longer a one-size-fits-all solution to education, all right? And the reality is this. What our kids in this community needs are very different than what our kids in Chicago or New York or Tulsa needs. And guess what? It's y'all that are in the best place to figure out how to educate those kids. It's our teachers, it's our principals, it's our superintendents, and now they can do that, right? We got to make sure the state implements this law in the right way, because here's the reality. We have to educate our kids for jobs that do not exist right now. The technological change we're going to see in the next 20 years is going to make the last 20 years look insignificant. last year alone, there were 42,000 jobs in Texas that required some level of computing skills. The average salary of those jobs, $89,000. That's more than double the average in Texas. Texas only produced 2,100 computer scientists to meet those 42,000 jobs. And what's worse than that, there were only 5,000 kids that took the AP computer science class. That's the class when you take it, you can get college credit, right? Of those 5,000 kids, only 24% were girls, less than 900 were Latinos or Latinas, and only 120 were African American. That's a problem. Now, my spirits were buoyed last week when I was in Del Rio. We were at a health fair, and I talked to 50 girls from 7th grade to 2nd grade. And I asked each one of them, what's your favorite subject? All but 3 said science or math. We got to make sure we continue to encourage them to do this, because this is a national security issue. And guess what? Congress passed legislation to allow communities like Eagle Pass to meet that need. Right? Big things have happened. All right? Now, we still got a long way to go to fix a lot of problems. One of the reasons I'm out here to tell y'all what's going on, but also to hear from you. So I'm going to stop there and take some questions. My friend over here, I think you had a... John, can you say grandkids? Can grandkids go to college under the VA, under the GI Bill or Hazelwood?
I'm not actually sure on that. I don't think so, but I would have to double check.
Yeah, we can double check and make sure we get that. Make sure we get your information, because not only is federal bills, it's state bills. Yes, sir. Who controls the president? Well, that's a good question. Very good question. The question is who controls the president? And you're saying Mrs. Obama. So really, one of the important roles of Congress, and that's both houses, the House and the Senate, we are a co-equal branch of government, right? And we need to do a better job of operating that way, acting that way. That's why it's important for us to pass a budget so the government actually works. When you pass a budget, that gives Congress a few more strings in order to make sure that the executive branch is following through and executing laws that we pass the right way. So that's why it's important to have people up there that know how to actually govern and get things done. You get one more. Yeah, the question is, how come Congress doesn't veto things, and how come they haven't stopped some of the things that happen? Congress can veto bills, but we have to have 2/3 in order to veto a piece of legislation. My party does not have that, so we always have to get some from the other side of the aisle to do that. We've actually held a number of votes on veto, but we didn't hit that threshold. Right? And this is why it's important to make sure we have people in office that understand these issues and are counterbalanced to an executive branch or a judiciary. Right? 3 equal branches of government. But these are all great questions. I may get you to come up to DC to educate some of my colleagues. So thank you. What else? Yes, sir.
Hey, Congressman Hurd. There's one on for the older people on Social Security.
Yeah.
Our benefits are very low, yet these young kids like in McDonald's and Burger King, they want $15 an hour to slam a burger.
Yeah.
Why can't we get a raise?
Yeah.
Because if you'll take, like my wife, she's getting $411 across the board after they take out the Medicare.
Absolutely.
Right? You take that and divide that by the 40 hours, and see how much she makes an hour
Yeah.
compared to what these kids are making an hour. I think that's kind of outrageous.
Right. So the question is, when it comes to Social Security, getting a cost of living adjustment, right? Here's the reality: when you're on a fixed income, any changes, right, is going to have an impact. So whether you're on Medicare and your prescription drugs costs are doubling, that has a huge impact, right? Because of rules by the EPA that's hurting farmers and ranchers, which are causing the cost of vegetables and meat to go up, that's going to have an impact on that daily income. When it comes to Social Security, there are some legislation in Congress right now to get into the next appropriation to deal with this issue of cost of living. This is, our seniors should have access to this. We got to make sure that Social Security is around for near seniors. We got to stop taking money out of the Social Security fund to do other things. Keep that stuff there, and there are a number of proposals to try to get that done. And we're working hard, and we understand this. My dad is 83. My mom is 72. They live on Social Security. Right? They're also on Medicare Advantage, which is something we fought for to make sure there was still funding for that. This is a program. My dad is diabetic. He has neuropathy in his feet. It's something that he has all kinds of problems, but he's actually been in some of the best health he's ever been in because of these programs. And we got to make sure they continue to exist, and we're putting money in them despite what some people could say we're not doing. One more. Yes, ma'am.
I'm interested in starting a Young Republicans Club at my high school, and so I'm in the process of that right now, and I was wondering if there's anything that I need to consider when making this club.
Sure, let's talk after this, and we can help you with that, all right?
Wait until 3 because
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm going to be here every time hospital visits.
Yep.
And we're going to have a lot of uninsured in our community, and that's really impacting not only the hospital district and our physician specialty group, but also our hospital, which is Fort Duncan Regional Medical Center. And I just want to know your thoughts on expansion of Medicaid.
Look, Medicaid, the impact that hospitals have, you have to take people when they come in, right? And so we're not taking the full amount that we can. I think there's a way to get an agreement between the states and the federal government to sort this issue out. How you administer block grants to ensure you have access to this. But also, I think when we revise our tax code to allow your hospital to see tax relief for some of the indigent care that you're giving. That's something that would go a long way, because guess what? You got in this industry in order to help people, and you're going to continue to help people, and there shouldn't be a barrier for you to help folks. And again, there's some tax breaks and incentives that can be done on this. And this is some parts we have a tax plan that shows that we increase our county by 90%. That's a huge number. And that's not me making that number up. That's outside groups that have reviewed this and said, and this is one way is that we can ensure that you're continuing to provide service to the people that need it the most. All right? I'm going to end with this, and we're going to stay around. If y'all have individual issues or problems, we would love to hear about those. We'll take your contact information. I learned